Okay, I'm in the lobby of the Merlot.
Alright, let's do it.
I'm hacking in.
Well, here we are. It's the one we've all been waiting for, the big review of WatchDogs on the PS4. You obviously saw my footage on Friday, which I got an early copy. You saw the footage at the beginning, the Sublime looking visuals, which I did on purpose so that I took away any preconceptions that people may have had of what the game looked like or what version it was running on. And what you did see was the PS4 version. Now, I've played this game quite a bit over the weekend. I've also managed to get hold of my PC copy now, and I've played through that quickly, but this is just the main review of the game. Now, first thing I'll get up front is I haven't completed the game yet. I haven't completed the story side of it. I've played a very large part of it, and I've certainly got a feel for how the game looks, and I've played around online and in the world and got a very good feel for where the game is. So, let's hit the important markers first. The story. Well, you play Aiden Pierce, clearly. You play a online hacker, expert, genius, criminal. Beginning of the game, it starts very instantly. Basically, you have a cutscene that plays out, which is a pre-rendered cutscene. I think it's one of the few in the game. And then you are basically hacking a faceless corporate bank, stealing lots of tasty numbers for your ill-gotten gains.
30 seconds. God bless the rich and famous. We are the modern-day magicians, siphoning bank accounts out of thin air.
Can you hear yourself? What was that?
Hell no. I think someone else is hacking in. Let's take a peek.
Let's not.
Stick to the plan, dude.
As is always the case in these things, it all goes completely fucking wrong, and you get spotted by another team of hackers watching you do this shit. That then revolves into a situation where these people decide that you are a naughty boy and you should not continue your ill-gotten gains any longer and be taken care of forthwith. This transpires into them finding out who you and your accomplice are, picking you out from the database and deciding that you and your family no longer deserve to live. And this is one of the first problems that falls into the game. The storyline is a bit weak. The voice acting is a bit of a hit and miss. Some are good, some are bad, but there's no real emotion portrayed from the cutscenes and the visual fidelity in the game. The character animation is nowhere in the level of things like Rise or Second Son or The Last of Us, because the facial capture animation in this game, I would say, doesn't exist. There isn't any in there. It's just hand-drawn animation, and it kind of shows a little. It makes it very hard to get emotive in the character and in what's going on with Aiden's storyline. There is points in the game where some of the live rendered scenes in the game are very, very poor. They look old gen, and this is one of the biggest problems I've got with the game. When you're playing it, it is quite clear from the outset, as I've already said many times, this game was designed around the PS3 and the 360, and the engine has been scaled from that. So that's one of the first downsides of the game, and I'm not going to dwell too much on the graphic fidelity in this review because that's for another time. So that's a bit of a shame. The other side of it is also the fact that the story is kind of weak, in the sense that you never really feel that connected to Aiden and his plight. The way that the story progresses, very early on you go and see his sister and she just stands waiting for the marker. You then get a very protracted scene on the phone when you're chasing a bad guy down that's hacked her phone, what's rang her up while you're there, and you hack the phone and chase it down. As you see before you can end that chase quite quickly, and that then leaves the overlaid conversation continuing, even though in reality you've already finished conversation. You're out of the car and you can see here I've caught the guy, I've disabled him, and then the car blows up behind me, but I still continue talking the conversation as if nothing's happened, and it breaks the immersion in the game. So the story, I'm not going to go into spoilers for it, but it's suffice to say that it does what it needs to, but it doesn't break any new ground. Far and away the most interesting character in the game is Geordie Chin. Whenever he's on screen or in the scene, the actual character, the narrative and the dialogue just seems more funny, more witty. Him and Aiden play off very well together. The rest of the characters are not so endearing, unfortunately. But the story is only part of the game. We got into this game because of the fact that it offered something truly unique and truly systemic. Now, does it deliver on that? Let's go into the first problem I've got with that. The AI. The AI is pretty poor. There is points in the game where it's doing crazy ass shit, running backwards and forwards. There's shots where you've got here where the AI is freaking out on you at the car, and it reacts in stupid ways. You cause a situation where they run back and forth and they don't really know what they're doing. Now this might be consumed as yet a normal human reaction in the state of panic and fear and all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't really play out that way. It plays out more like very bad, weak thread patterns going on, and it's going down pathways in kind of weird and random ways. They do react quite well to certain things. You pull a gun, they react to you in the car and they get out, or they run away, or they try and call the police. And this is one of the big parts of the game that does work very well, much better than other open world games, is the police, and certainly how they come about. Anyone who used to playing GTA knows that kind of psychic ability that the GTA police seem to have, where they can just find you within an instant, no matter what you're doing and where you are. They find you, they trace you down, and that's the job done. It doesn't work that way in Watch Dogs. How it works is you get yourself in a situation. You might have blown somebody up, you might have pulled your car out, you might have pulled your gun out, you might have even just walked across the street with your gun out and people have seen you, and dependent on your level of civilianship in the city, so whether you're a vigilante or a criminal, however they see you, they're more or less likely to call the police. If they do call the police and you're close enough, you have a triangle up here and you've got time to try and get to that person, press the O button and disable them and take it off, take the phone out of their hands. If you don't make it in time, then the police then call. You can also shoot them, but the likelihood of that is that will just then cause more people to call other people in the scene, and where it was one person calling the police, now it's two, now it's three. That is me shooting people and just creating this situation that's continuously going on, and in the end the police are going to know, because I can't keep shooting everyone in the street. And that creates this butterfly effect, which is quite good, because it means it feels like it's real. It feels like the police are coming because somebody's responding to you, rather than the police just magically know that you're doing something naughty and they come and see you. Then the police turn up and they do act quite clever. You can be quite vindictive with the way you treat the police, or you can just shoot them and then disable them, basically, and that is up to you how you play that out. So you can get yourself into very strong and good shootouts with the police in certain scenes. That is a very nice and dynamic part of the game. The downside is, again, there's still very weak parts of the AI. There's bits in chases when you're being chased and they'll react to you and go, oh, I'm gonna ram him, or he's just hit me really hard, and it doesn't happen. You haven't hit anyone, they're nowhere near you, or they'll lose sight of you, but actually they're still behind you. You can create situations where here you trigger the lights to go off and then they crash behind you and you get the slow motion reaction. That's quite good. Driving through the scene, you press the X button and that gives you a view behind you, and then you can actually then trigger the alarm what you will need to do, and that will set the sequence off. And all of this plays out quite well in the game. What does play really well in the game is the stealth side of it, and that is how the game really excels. It's more of a stealthy game than a standard open world game. You play a lot of sequences where you're playing missions and you're having to hack buildings or break into places, which you can see on the very opening mission is you have to hack a lot of areas and use your intuitive design to get in and out of places. There's certain missions in the game where you don't have to enter the building. You can completely use cameras, go into the whole scene, hack the area, come out of it, get the information, and you've never entered. But if you choose to do so, you can then run balls in, shoot everyone and try and fight your way out, but that won't always work. There seems to be sequences in the game when they force you to use a certain style, but by and large it's up to you how you do it. There's lots and lots of side quests in the game, lots of missions and lots of information where you can just choose to do certain things if you want to, if the missions pop up. There's criminal activity that happens around the city which you decide to get involved in or not, but this pretty much plays out the same way no matter what it is. Person A meets person B, person A's probability becomes higher that they're going to do a naughty thing. It then reaches a level of about 90, you then intervene and you can either stop it You can shoot them, you can disable them, or you can let it happen and bugger off and walk away. And these are the kind of events in the game that allow you to change your civilian ship, how the game plays out. It's a nice touch. Some of the bits work pretty well, but they get very monotonous very quickly. And you do get a general feel that it's kind of go here, unlock the CTOS tower, which is quite good because you have to do like a little puzzle to get through. It's not just a standard go here, press button X and away you go. It gives you a little bit of cerebral testing on there, but I'm not going to spend time ruining the whole story and breaking the game down into loads and loads of spoilers. So that's pretty much how the game plays out. What is in the game is the online aspect of it. Decryption, which is the big 8 match game, 4-on-4. You can play tail, you can play hack, you can play racing, and then you've got loads and loads of side missions where you can run around like a Mario catching coin. Along with this, the game allows you to increase your level of guns, weapons, your hacking ability, your driving ability. You can boost yourself up, so it's got that RPG element, and there's a lot of hacks and additional modes in the game that you learn throughout the game. You can increase your battery life, so you can do more hacks more often. There's certain hacks take more battery life than others. But the online side of it is very weaving into the game. It's weaving into the game so intricately that if you decide to turn off the online side so your game can't be hacked, you lose all of the notoriety aspect of the online side of it now. But it's basically how good you appear online with your defense, your attack, basically how formidable you are in your online aspect of it. So how can you block hacks for longer? So if somebody's hacking you, if you've got very weak defense, basically on level 0, it means you can be hacked quite quickly. You've played loads of missions and you built your level up, you then take a lot longer to be hacked. But I'm a bit surprised they're forcing you to take that option. If at any point you decide to turn that off because you don't want to have your single player mission ruined, then it's a bit of a downer that you lose that. Obviously the quick fix is to just go into offline mode if you're on the PC, or just pull your cable out of your PS4, which I did, which is the quickest way to stop yourself getting distracted from the online side of it. Because what basically is happening, which is very, very good, is you can pick up a contract within the game. So you'll see NPCs in the game and they'll have a contract out on somebody else that's online that's been picked up within the Ubisoft server, my assumption, and then you can take that job on and then enter that person's game. You then get warped to where they are, the map revolves around and you appear in their game, but they don't know you're there. So they only see you as a normal everyday NPC character in the game. You can then do what you want. You can then drive around, shoot a gun in the air, act like a normal person, and they'll never know you're there. You can black out the game and make them freak out by being completely crazy until you decide to initiate the hack. Or if it's a tailing mission, you basically just have to watch them and not be seen and not be profiled. You can just profile people randomly, and all of a sudden you realise you're profiling somebody else, a real player in your game, which is very, very well put together. And it's also one of the reasons why I think the game suffers a little bit in its performance levels, because those kind of threading processes within the engine, allowing this completely and utterly always online integrated aspect with the NPCs running in both your game and the other person's game, that is quite a lot of compute power being wasted there on something you would never actually see online and physically in the game. That side of it is very good, and it's very well weaved into the game. It does feel new, fresh and different. The racing, it's very good, it's quite solid, it works really well. The popping in the game is a bit of a pain. You do get vehicles appearing quite short in your distance sometimes when you're playing, but it's quite forgiving. The collision detection is very forgiving, in fact, so you do get away with a lot of the impact. What is frustrating is sometimes you can end up having your car blown up and destroyed because you've just clipped apart a pole at that very last second, and you can end up losing the game because of that, which is a bit of a kicker, but it's not that big of a deal. The best part of it by far though is the decryption side of it. The 4v4, if you get a good team, if you get a good strong team and you're playing a decent match and it works really well and everyone stays together and plays as they should play, it becomes a very strong and fun game type to play. You can then build up your level of notoriety again, you then get additional weapons, and your arsenal becomes more and more powerful. Then that makes you more powerful within the game, so you become more of an asset to yourself and to your team. That's a good part, fun part of the game, but it's all distractions to what is a very vivid and real world. But unfortunately, it doesn't deliver on the level that we expected it to deliver on. Certainly my expectations. This is not to say it's a very bad game. It's not a bad game. It's a great game, in fact. But it's not something that gives you that feeling that it completely blows you away. What it does do is give you a taste of something to come. And that is a taste of a game that really truly feels as if it's on the brink of delivering an experience that is far and away beyond what we've known and understand of an open world game. But it feels restrained and restricted by its very limitation that it has to run on a PS3 and an Xbox 360. Visually, it is not the groundbreaking game that we would imagine it would be from the E3 2012 reveal. Let me get that out of the way. Don't care what you run it on, be it top-end PC, PS4, Xbox One, it doesn't look like that reveal. I've said that since day one, I've kept saying that, and it has consistently stayed true as we stand here. That said, that's not to say at times this game is not anything but stunning, because it truly is a stunning looking game at times. It scales very well across all the hardware, but it doesn't deliver on that original promise. It does deliver in the aspect of the open systemic world. It does deliver on a very strong narrative that gives you a reason to continue, but it's not the best story you've ever heard or ever played through. But the stealth side of it and the open side of the missions and the replay value does feel very, very high, and certainly it gives GTA a run for its money in a lot of aspects. I wish Ubisoft had stuck to their guns and only delivered this on the Xbox One, the PS4 and the PC. It would then feel and truly would have stepped forward, but we've always got WatchDogs 2 for that, and that aside, this does not deter from this being a great game to play, and I'm sure many of you will sink many hours into this game, as I already have. It is unfortunately flawed genius at this point, and for that very reason I give it an 8 out of 10. It's an astounding game that delivers on so many aspects that we hoped for, and fails and falls short on a few others, but that doesn't stop us from enjoying this game and playing it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope I didn't go into too much detail and I didn't bore you too much. I want to hear your feedback and your thoughts. What's your thought on this game? Have you waited for this review? Have you waited for other reviews? Are you going to buy this game today, or are you going to wait until it comes out a little bit later on a sale? Be sure to check back soon when I've got my detailed head-to-heads across all the PS4, the Xbox One, the PC and the Xbox 360, and then I'm going to go into some breakdowns of the game and some comparisons from the original reveal and where this game succeeds and where this game fails. I've purposely left a lot of the graphics out of this review simply because I'm going to go into a very detailed breakdown of that video specifically to do with the graphics. The game is the review. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, like and subscribe, leave comments below, and I'll see you guys online or in the next one.
Batman.